She does the trend to insult someone who absolutely did nothing to her.
Hello viewers, if you recognize this OC, I'm the owner of the channel Valerie Phoebe. If you know that channel, welcome back. If you don't have to check it. Everything is going to be explained here. I'm posting this video on my alt account for private reasons. Now with that said, let's get into the situation and the purpose of this video. Currently, there is some drama going on with me and this YouTuber, BryanToonz. He has about 1,000 subscribers, close to 2,000. He is 13 years old and makes content about his object show, 12's Epic Game Show, and hate videos on people he doesn't like. Apparently, I had a rough history with him and has been severely worse around this time. This is kind of the reason why my videos aren't coming out as frequently. I will start getting into the habit of posting more content once the situation is over. This video is to make people understand my side of the drama and for people to give their opinions about this drama. Here's my perspective on this situation, along with my friend Valerie, who have already given their opinion on this issue. Me and Bryan met in late October 2024. We met from this one YouTuber that we actually both hated on. I saw his comments on these YouTubers' posts, but have never gotten in contact with him yet, until he subscribed to me and I decided to check out his page. His channel seemed pretty chill most of the time, and when I read the description, it turns out he was Dominican like me too. I thought we would get along since we had some similarities, so I subscribed to his channel. He commented on my videos and I commented on his. We became friends soon after that. I was so excited to make my second friend on YouTube, but soon it would go down. Fast. I decided since I couldn't communicate with him at current times, I made a Google Classroom and invited Bryan in it. He also decided to invite his best friend at the time, Holden, who became friends with me. The other person that Bryan met on TikTok. We were pretty chill and just talked about this one YouTuber he hated, Metal and Frez, and some other stuff. He had a show going on called Bryan's Bonus Bits, and me and Holden were on that show. Well, I thought it was going good until I realized there were some red flags that I only noticed when I looked closely into it later on. Some of these red flags are as stated. For example, I was going to DR, the same country that he lives in, and Bryan has sent me his address for me to come visit him. I made up an excuse that my parents wouldn't allow that, but Bryan just said, "Tell them I'm a friend from school." Secondly, he would try to get me into beef that he had with Metal and this other YouTuber, DJ Link, that he's still enemies with now, I think. Another thing that he also said to me, he asked me to show my face, and we have only met for a month at that time. However, I only noticed these red flags after our first Google Meet ever, which also included a bunch of other red flags. This one, for example, this one is the most alarming red flag. My cousin was present in this call, and she asked Bryan if we were going to get married as a joke. Keyword, a joke. So she was just fooling around, basically. Bryan replied, although, "Oh, we're probably going to get married at 22. P.S. Bryan is older than me, so this, freaking freaked me out, and so did... I was just like, what the fuck? At this point, I brought up the idea of me cutting ties with Bryan. I was a bit hesitant at first, but I decided to do it. On December 30th, 2024, I grabbed my iPad to record the moment. I watched as I told Bryan that I didn't want to be friends with him anymore, told the reasons why, and kicked him out of the Google Meet. He crashed out at me, and he left the Google Classroom, along with everyone else. I thought that would be over with me and him. Apparently, he started to copy me a bit. He even shared a post of someone he didn't know or come in contact with at all, and it was someone I knew. God forbid he becomes friends with my friends, so I got defensive and made a video about it on my channel, which used to be private, but I put it public again because he copied me again recently. I found out one day that he was in a stream and I decided to join it, just to joke around. At first, he kept on bringing up the fact that I betrayed him, but not as much. Then we started to be friendly with each other, and I thought he changed. Apparently, when we started to be friendly, there was another Valerie that I figured out about when I was looking at Bryan's voice actor list for his show. I was kind of mad because he was basically replacing me with another Valerie. I even thought that Valerie was close to him. I looked at Valerie's channel and decided to let her know that I was another Valerie for Bryan's channel. They replied as if they were friendly, so I was pretty interested that there was another Valerie. Bryan made another Google Classroom and even invited me. The people who were in the Google Classroom were Bryan, Valerie, Sophie, one of Bryan's friends, me, and Liam, which is another of Bryan's friends. Sophie isn't really a part of this, and Liam is going to be mentioned later. I thought about doing a Google Meet again, not only to talk to Bryan again, but also meet Valerie, and I talked to them on video call. We all joined, and when I thought Bryan was normal again, he wasn't. He acted the same way he did with me in 2024, as if he didn't acknowledge the reasons that I explained to him back then. When he left, even though I was hesitant, I told Valerie how I felt about Bryan, and fortunately, they also felt the same. We both shared our experience. I told my part, so I'll let Valerie talk about it for a moment.
I originally met Bryan through TikTok, which his first DM to me was him asking me to voice act for his object show. And I was so hesitant. This is my first time meeting him, so I told him, sure, but I'm not really the greatest. Which to he replied, come on, I bet your voice is cute. Without me even asking, Bryan then put me on his production team. I didn't have a say in this. He also replaced the original character that Valerie was supposed to voice with me.
So yeah, me and Valerie had similar experiences with Bryan, and we would talk about him frequently. That's basically how we became close best friends like we are today. We combined our hate for Bryan so much that we even made a Google Classroom about hating Bryan, and it's still up, because we talked to each other on that Google Classroom. Everyone was okay for a few days, until late April where I noticed something else was in the Google Classroom. At first I didn't recognize him, but once we hopped on a Google Meet one day, he was another one of Bryan's friends. I'll just call him Leon. Leon hosted a Google Meet and it ended up being a huge fight. I have some recordings of it, but it isn't the clearest. However, Valerie got some recordings after Leon left. The people who were involved in the fight were Bryan, Leon, me, Valerie, and my friend. Everyone said harsh things to each other, and it was pretty tense to say the least. Here are some recordings that Valerie took when Leon left.
And for you to fucking insult me like that, that's so, fucking degrading.
And then you say that we're best friends.
For real! You're my best friend, and you literally treat us like
Oh, guys, I love you.
fucking,
all.
dog poo, fucking dog shit on your shoes,
Guys, literally, I'm not in the mood. Okay. Because you got
Sorry, Carly.
fuck's sake. And then you treat us like you own us.
Literally, I'm not your slave, what the fuck?
Oh, there's too many here, when we're... You gotta be nice to me, I'm autistic.
That's not a valid excuse. Because besides, if you're gonna get on us, I got most of this on recording anyway, so
You fuck... Exactly, it's 2 minutes in, and the recording is already going down.
for real.
That call just made me and my friends hate Bryan more. So we decided that for the next 2 to 3 days, we would hate Bryan during Google Meets. Even though we said some things about him, he would also say some really nasty things to us, especially to my cousin, Jacob. Keep in mind, he's 9 years old, and Bryan is blaming Jacob for this whole situation too. I did record some things that he said. You can check that video in the description. Like I said, this happened for 2 to 3 days. Until the roasting was going to end, Bryan crashed out and stopped being friends with me and Valerie for good. He talked shit about us on the Google Classroom and even made killing art of me and Valerie's OCs. We obviously didn't care since it was just a drawing after all. Bryan made a Discord server and invited all of his friends in it. I think in DMs he would talk shit about me and Valerie because one day something came up. You know that Liam person I mentioned? Well, he also made a killing art, but only with my quote-unquote OC. I say that in quotes because it's just Bryan's acid of my OC, which is ass. It doesn't even look like her. This is when I decided to make this exposed video. Thankfully, more shit has happened so then Bryan could just humiliate himself even more. One day, Liam joined when we were on a call with Bryan, trying to confront him. Liam actually understood us when we explained our side of the story. However, that bitch wouldn't just listen for fuck's sake. He would just keep on mentioning things as an excuse. For example, he would bring up this incident. 2 months ago, from the call with Liam, we did a Gartic phone, if you know what that game is. Jacob made the topic Bryan kissing Knuckles, and Bryan got to the topic and had to draw it. He had complete control of deciding if he should draw it or not. He could have drawn something else, like the word no or something, but he drew it. He fucking drew it. Then I mentioned the fact that he was a zoophile when I was the one who got that picture to guess what it was. So it was basically Elisa who said it first, like vocally, but Bryan completely didn't choose any of us and instead blamed it on the 9-year-old Jacob. He would still bring that up this day when it was 2 months ago. Funny enough, I even said it to my friends and they said he would be a zoophile for that. Anyways, we basically had another fight. Bryan would repeatedly apologize, but then go back to calling us names and shit. I decided to record the evidence and he told me to turn my recording off. And since I told that I was recording, he wants me to not get any evidence that he is doing these fucked up acts. He wants some type of bias to happen just because he has more subscribers than me. He didn't even fully earn those subs. He just stole TikToks and that's how he got his fame. I say that in quotes because he doesn't really have an open audience. However, since I looked on all of the videos I ever made, my fandom is more lively than his. He was even mad about my art contest for 12 people to join, and when he did one, right after mine, he only got 2. His friends didn't even join. He also brought up his mutual friend who was 10 and started talking shit about him. Soon after that call, and I mean Valerie and maybe like Elisa did it too, made fake Discord accounts just to get him to actually confess. Here are some pictures from those Discord accounts.
I had 4 accounts. 3 of them were my alt, 1 of them was my main account. But the most important ones are going to be my alt accounts, which are Stella, Rosa, and Harry. With Rosa being my first and Harry being the worst. With making the Rosa account, it was originally just to pry information out of him. Bryan was spreading misinformation about the situation with messages such like him saying he forgot the reason to why he made us mad when my decoy account asked him what did we do to make him lose his temper. When I finally revealed myself, he got really, really upset about this. And when I confronted him, he just kept saying, oh, it's Jacob's fault, when it was not Jacob's fault. He just kept saying that over and over. It was Jacob's fault. That's all he would say. Now we're going to be talking about my main account, which he added me on. During this one, Bryan added me from another mutual friend we had. And he called me to say he was sorry for everything he did. I didn't think this was a good apology, but I still accept it none the wiser. He also said right after the call, he's like, I'm sorry. I kept talking about your dead family member, which he should have said that to begin with. He then forced me to take down all the videos I had of exposing him in my community post, which I obliged with the community post, but I only privated the videos and unprivated them after the whole situation. He then promised me that he would be a better friend, which he did not. He broke that promise because he acted the same way he had always done before. He fat-shamed Jacob. He talked bad about Valerie behind her back and then tried to make me go against them, which I said no. Then when he had his art contest, which he copied off of Valerie, I decided to join it with joke art. I drew his OC kissing Knuckles, which is a joke we made while playing Gartic Phone, and this is the joke he deliberately drags on. Then Bryan decides to call me a zoophile because I drew it, but by his logic, he himself would be considered one because he originally drew the art. This is where Bryan decides to block me on my main account. The third account is Stella. I used this account to pretend to be one of my old friends, and I would deliberately get information out of him, which Bryan again called me a zoophile. Bryan also deliberately threatened us by saying I'm going to strangle them, once he found out Liam was on our side and not his. Bryan decided it would be a good idea to try and send us death threats, but it didn't work out because he said he was still planning on it, but he never did it. I was in on this with 2 other people, which were Valerie's cousins, and we decided to call him as a group, and he was really, really upset about it. After this call, Bryan had made a post about me, exposing me with the drawing, saying that I was a zoophile, which he now deleted. Now on to a part that I really do not want to talk about, but it's really, really important to the story. A bit of a content warning. This one is extremely graphic, in how I'm about to describe it, but I have to dumb it down for YouTube's policy. This account, my decoy's name was called Harry. I joined a call with them, and they said some really messed up stuff and a plan for revenge, which I'm about to read out right now. But a warning, again, very graphic content. Their friend Leon, Rare's Technology, was gonna go into Valerie's live stream and show his, on the live stream so she can get traumatized and terminated. Their second part of the plan was if Valerie ever had another art contest, Bryan would draw not safe for work art of her OC. Bryan and Leon also drew art of my OC, Valeria, who is canonically 14, and Valerie's OC, Fruity Box, who's 19, canonically kissing. He also knew how old they were during this. He knew the age gap between them. But he said it was only for payback. When my decoy asked what Valerie had done for them to think about this, he spread more misinformation about the situation. He made it seem like Valerie was the one who started everything. On Valerie's live stream, they tried to join it twice. Bryan says that he's mature, but this is the most immature I've seen someone be in my whole life. This is the most immature thing you can do. This is so childish. He also said she was going to regret what she did. No, you're just traumatizing someone for your own personal gain. I was in the live stream during the time, and he kept saying that good news, Valerie's on the live. Good news, good news. Like it was something that we should celebrate doing. No, it's not. Bryan said to W Leon after he did it. Then he had another plan of sending Valerie a private link so Leon could then show her. Yeah.
I never knew that Bryan would say these things about people younger than him. I don't even know how to explain my disgust. But you guys called him harsh names and talk shit about him. That doesn't give him the excuse to say things like this. Bryan was getting even worse. He hasn't changed. All of the victims in this drama have been through a lot before they even met Bryan. Those victims included Valerie, Jacob, myself, and even Liam, who was his own friend before he decided to side with us instead. He supposedly thought that Liam knew the right side, even though he needed to know the whole story first, which was explained to him. Valerie is my closest online friend, so you can guess I would be furious if I figured out Bryan did many things to hurt them, which he did for some reason. Jacob is my younger cousin and doesn't even make sense how much shit Bryan does to him. Imagine being a 9-year-old for this whole situation. Is my cousin and my all-time best friend. I knew her ever since I was born. However, I have never seen her that mad when we have these fights with Bryan. She never gets that mad like that, so it has to prove something. Liam was one of his friends until his situation. Now Bryan probably talks shit about him too. Bryan isn't the only guilty one in this situation. Leon is also guilty for wanting to take action as far as nudity. We said some stuff, but he created and increased the size of the fire. That's all the information you need to know about him. If you want to see all the proof, the video's in the description. I'll try to update you guys if anything else happens. Bye bye everyone.